King Solomon Lives. A Nubian love story is coming to the Erie Crown Theater. Don't miss the hit stage play, destined for Broadway. King Solomon Lives, starring American Idol winner Jordan Sparks as the beautiful Queen of Sheba and gospel sensation Todd Delaney as the
Hey.
King Solomon.
What's going on? Commercial on right now. It's about to start momentarily. So stick with me. Part 2, Purpose and Identity. Should be a good show.
I'm Sally, a volunteer at United Way.
Should be a good one, so stick with me.
Neighborhood, what they think this place needs. Excuse me, hi. What do you think this place needs?
Hey. Thanks for joining. We're starting in a moment. As soon as commercials are over.
Movies. Oh, that's easy. Better restaurants.
And you,
As soon as the commercials are over.
This place? More ice cream trucks. Okay.
How's everybody doing tonight, though? How you guys feeling?
Wi-Fi everywhere?
I was thinking more money in the pockets of local families.
Hopefully you're feeling well. Enjoying these last few days of halfway decent weather.
That's way better. Now that you mention it.
When it comes to getting better tax refunds,
And thanks for joining.
local families, what
Like
this
I said,
place
we'll get
needs
started in a
is
second.
to donate.
Hey, Lori. Yeah. You saw my post. Yes, absolutely.
When we live united.
Yep.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
The views expressed
All right, here we go.
are not necessarily
Here we go.
those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or participating sponsors.
WVON.com, the website. Check it out.
Good evening, Chicago. You listening to Inspirational Perspective? I'm your host, Linal Harris, Chicago's very own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Inspirational Perspective on your radio is all about murdering mediocrity and living the best life possible. So as I ask you every Saturday evening at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, are you living the best life possible? And this is the place to be to explore that possibility. All right. Part 2, purpose, power, possibility. And last week we talked about purpose and identity. That was part 1. And we hit it in terms of somebodiness. And if you missed the show, you missed a good show. I shared a big part of my story. It was a brief part of my story, but nonetheless my story. So if you've never heard my story before, then you want to go to the Inspirational Perspective Facebook page. You want to go to YouTube, wherever you can go on my channels to watch last week's show. Okay. So make sure if you didn't check out the show, you check it out, because this is part 2 of that show. Now, one of the things that I promised is that I'll be covering purpose, but covering purpose in terms of a lot of the material I shared in workshops. And these are paid workshops where individuals came and sat down and worked with me to not only distinguish their purpose, but also distinguish their power and create the next step in terms of their personal possibilities. And so for those of you listening, I'll be providing all that material for free over the coming weeks. And so you definitely want to make sure you tune in, tell your friends to tune in. Anyone who you know can benefit from a conversation about life's purpose. This is the number one priority, folks. The most important thing for us to distinguish about our life is our purpose. So, to start off tonight, talking about purpose, I want to take you back because some years ago, I shared a story on purpose, and I want to go back and share that story again, or share that narrative again, and then dive into some of the workshop material. And for those of you who are watching on Facebook and Periscope, you can see like I'm actually working out of the actual workbook from the Purpose, Power, Possibility workshop that I started back in 2015, ran all the way through 2016. And this material will be online. It will be online very shortly. But this is your, in a lot of ways, prerequisite or precursor to that. So, why is purpose important? Well, centuries ago, even thousands of years ago, when a navigator began to prepare for his voyage, he would sit down and he would look at different maps and study those maps to ensure that wherever it was he was going, right, whether it's land or sea, he was very clear on how he was going to get there, because he knew that if he didn't take the time to prepare, if he didn't take the time to study the maps and understand the terrain that he might come across, he could get lost. Now, fast forward, here it is 2017, and many of us have this wonderful technology at our fingertips. GPS maps, Google Maps. I mean, you name it. We can basically navigate or take ourselves just about anywhere we want to go with technology. But the one major component that most of us are missing is how to navigate this life. How we want to navigate this life. And not just navigate this life, but what we should be doing. Who we should be as we navigate this life. What we are missing a purpose, and we are missing our identity. And because we are missing these two very important components for living, not only are we wreaking havoc in our own lives, but we are wreaking havoc in the lives of others, in the lives of our spouses, in the lives of our friends, in the lives of our family, in the lives of our sons, our daughters, in the lives of our, in some cases, mothers and fathers, because we don't know what it is that we should be doing. We have no idea what our purpose is, nor do we have an identity. So, why is this? I mean, this isn't taught in school. You know, you would think that of all the subjects that will be taught in school, along with mathematics, along with understanding how to read and comprehend and actually take action on what it is that you're reading, one of the things that will be taught would be purpose, would be identity. I mean, you would think that this would be just a regular elementary part of a person's education. So why is it left out? Why is it that purpose is something, how to distinguish your purpose, how to identify your purpose? Why is it that this is something that's left out? Well, the answer is simple. If all of us, if we all understood our purpose, if we naturally had an inclination for our own identity, who we are at the very core, then that would get us present to our power. And if you had a population of people who were fully present to their purpose, to their identity, and to their power, that population of people could not be controlled. That population of people could not be told what to do, and that population of people could not be sold a bag of rotten apples. Rotten apples being the system and the situation that we currently find ourselves in. So that's why it's not taught. So this is part of my passion behind teaching purpose. Because one of the things I know for sure is that when you identify your purpose, you can transform your life. When you come into complete ownership and recognition of your identity, that not only transforms your life, but it completely connects you to your power. And my purpose on the planet is to do that, to help people, one, identify their purpose and identity, and two, get connected to their power. Because when you get connected to your power, that brings with it your own personal brand of success. All right, so let's dive into the material. I think I've shared enough in terms of why you should keep listening. And so let's dive into the material. But first, to start, we have to define this word purpose. I had a caller once who called in and said, man, I'm so tired of people using this purpose word. You know, I hear it at church. I hear it on the radio. I hear it all over the place. I see it on the internet. People talk about purpose. I'm just tired of it. And I asked him what the word meant to him. And what we end up finding out is that we have different definitions. We have different ways of thinking about the word purpose. So let me be clear about what I mean when I say purpose, okay? Now, when I say purpose, I'm looking at the very simple definition of this word as found in Merriam-Webster Dictionary, all right? And when I say purpose, I'm looking at the couple of the definitions. The first one is definition A, the reason why something is done or used. Now think of this in capacity in terms of your own life. You know, the reason why something is done or used. Your life is used. Or better yet, definition B, the aim or intention of something. You know, you can ask yourself, what is my aim? And not a short-term aim. I'm talking about your long-term aim. What is your aim? And what is your life's intention? I mean, that answers one of the questions I asked last week around, why are you alive? Because when you know your aim, when you know your intention, then you're very clear on why you wake up every morning. You're very clear on what it is that you should be doing. You're very clear on who you be. And then I'm going to skip this definition number C and just go to D, the aim or goal of a person. And then definition E is what a person is trying to do or become. All right. So that's what I mean when I go through the definitions of purpose. Now, let me reiterate the questions I asked last week. Because the questions I asked last week were, who are you in terms of your identity? Do you know that? If somebody said, Linal, who are you? Linal Harris is someone who transforms and changes lives. That's my identity, okay? First, I transformed mine, and then my work has been to transform the lives of other people. And all that didn't come at one time. If you heard my story last week, you heard the ups and downs of trying to identify, getting to the place where I knew and understood my purpose. So who are you? And And some of us, when I ask that question, the first thing that comes to mind is we begin to focus on who we aren't, right? Well, I'm not beautiful. I'm not pretty. I'm not a good singer. I don't have talents. And I'm not asking you who you're not. I'm asking you who you are. And something to consider, we'll get into this later, but you are who you say you are. If you say you're powerful, you're powerful. If you say you're not, you're not. And we'll dive into why that's true later. But who are you and why are you alive? You know, when I was a young man, I could think of some near-death experiences I had. And when I think back on those situations, you know, it was a matter of a tenth of a second, maybe one slight movement that saved my life, that has me still here. And so when I ask the question, why are you alive? You know, sometimes we might think that's happenstance, that it's consequential, you know, that, oh, it's just, you know, just coincidental. But you're alive for a reason. You're still here for a reason. What is that reason? Do you know? And consider, the sooner you find out, the more happiness you will experience, the more fulfillment you will experience, the quicker, the sooner the things around you will begin to flourish. This is the power of purpose. And then last but not least, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? You see, another reason why purpose is not a normal part of the conversation is because, you know, we were taught to go to school, you know, find or you know, create some type of specialty, and then take that specialty and go get a job. And the reason you go get a job is because when you get the job, you'll be able to take care of yourself. You'll be able to take care of your family. And that's it. You know, that's basically the essence of living. And in between there is all kinds of other extracurricular activities, you know, friendships and travel and drinks and parties and birthday parties and celebrations and years come and go, New Year's Eve after New Year's Eve, but you're really not achieving anything of note. You know, you have these desires deep inside of you, but you never really deliver on them. You know, this is what happens when you're not really clear on your purpose. And so our purpose defines who we are and what we should be offering the world. Who you are and what you should be offering. You know, some of us ended up in the work that we have by default. You know, somebody called us up. They said, hey man, they're hiring over here. I know you need a job. And we said, okay, I'll check this out. Went down, put in an application. You know, the application came back, turned into an interview. And then we took the interview, turned into a job. And, you know, we never really cared for the work that much, but, you know, put food on the table. It took care of the family. And here you are a decade later, maybe 2 decades later. You're still doing that work. And you're not sure who you are. You're not sure what you should be offering the world. You know, maybe you can hang your hat on the fact that you've been a good father or you've been a good mother. But tonight, I would tell you that maybe there's more than that. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to gain some clarity on what's really inside you and what you should be offering the world. You know, purpose provides the very template for being, creating, and doing your work. Purpose is not a job, and purpose is not a title. Now, let me be clear. Purpose provides the template for being, creating, and doing your work. See, here's the thing. when you have purpose, that means you have work. And the great thing about this work is, one, it's work that you're passionate about. It's work that aligns with your talents and strengths. It's work that actually allows you to play the roles that matter to you in life. And it's work that no one can take away from you. No one. No pink slip can take it away. No boss can take it away. No layoffs can take it away. Because when you're doing work that's aligned with your purpose, then that is a part not only of your purpose, but of your very identity. And just because you're alive, you can take on the work. You don't have to have an office to go to, a place to be, or a place to go. All you got to do is breathe, and you can take on the work. That's the beauty of purpose. See, often we put so much identity, so much stock in the job, and I talked about this last week, that when we lose it, we feel like our life is over. You know, let something happen to your well-being. Let something happen where, for some reason, you can't get up and take on that work. You know, a lot of us fall into some type of depression because for so long, that job, that title, that was a part of our identity. And we made the mistake of linking it to our identity when in essence, our identity should be linked only to our purpose. So purpose is not a job. Purpose is not a title. Why? Because those are just things. Those are just things you've acquired by doing something, by taking on some type of activity. So never confuse who you are with what you do and what you have. Right? That's one of the problems with our criminal justice system. You know, somebody, they could be on hard times and go into a store, you know, steal some food from the store and get caught. And when they get caught, they get labeled. They get a title of a burglar, of a robber, right? And if they don't have a personal identity, if somewhere along the way they don't become connected to purpose, then they'll wear that title. And just because they serve their time doesn't mean that our society will take that tag off of them. You know, they have to be able to remove the tag by saying, that's something I did, but it's not who I am. Because what I do and what I have has nothing to do with my purpose and my identity. If I lost everything I had, I am still my purpose. My purpose will still be to help myself and others live the best life possible. Now, if I lose everything I had, it'll be back on myself. I talked about that last week, right? I'll begin working on myself, getting myself back in order. But that's the purpose. So never confuse that. Your purpose is your identity. Your purpose is who you be, not what you do. Not what you do. Okay? Your purpose connects you to your internal seed of greatness. Now, this is where the power part of the conversation comes in. So if you stuck with me, that's awesome. Because when you begin to talk about the seed of greatness, now you're beginning to tap into power. Now, how else would I say this? The other way to think about the seed of greatness is to think of it as your spirit or soul. All right? I've said this before, but we all have this spirit, right? So knowing your purpose allows you to know and name your very soul. Like purpose gets you into relationship with yourself in a way that you've never been in relationship with yourself. You know, you ever been in a relationship and with someone else and you say, I was with them for a few years, but I never felt like I really knew them. Like they ever let me all the way in. Like, why do we say that? All the way in what? I mean, here it is that you could have been physically, intimately involved with this individual. I mean, you all slept in the same house, slept in the same bed, went to the same parties, had the same friends. And you can say after being in relationship with that person for years that I never felt that individual let me all the way in. Into what? Into their soul, into their spirit, into the essence of who they really are. That's what we mean when we say that. See, we have these cliches and these different sayings that we use them so freely, but we don't necessarily look at what does that really mean and why does it have meaning? Purpose allows you to know and name your soul. It actually allows you to let someone in. One of the reasons many of us can't let people in is because we don't know who we are. We're not even in conversation, in relationship with ourselves in an intimate, spiritual way. Now, I gave this analogy before, but one of the biggest mistakes we make is focusing on the exterior. We look at a person's physical makeup and we want to have a conversation about that in terms of who they are. This is one of the biggest tricks in the book. And this trick came out in terms of race. This whole race thing, black, white, brown, yellow, red, Hispanic, Indian, Native American, Caucasian, European, Eastern European, Southern European, African tribes, African ethnicities. It's a trick. It's a trick. It's a trick to keep you focused on the external, focused on a very shallow part of living, because when you really begin to understand what living really is, you realize that the body is nothing more than a shell. It's just like a car. Car can't go without the driver. The car can't move. My car right now, sitting in the parking lot, can't do anything without me, without my keys, right? No different than if my spirit, if my soul left my body, all my power is gone, which means the body is now off. It's turned off. The spirit leave too long, we call that death. But yet we keep having conversations about the external. And I get it, right? In the context of what is happening in the 21st century, especially here in America, it's something that needs to be addressed. But remember that if you want to surmount that, all you have to do is get in touch with your spirit, with your power, because that's where the real force in terms of you creating what's possible in your life, that's where that force is. Again, another reason why this conversation isn't happening in schools. So let's break this down. You might, all right, Linal, that's kind of deep. Matter of fact, you have questions, give me a phone call, 773-591-1690. What do you mean? Well, let's break it down. Because here's my belief. My belief is this. that greatness, or you can even call greatness mastery, because that's in 2018, I'm going to be talking about mastery. You definitely want to check these out, okay? But first we got to get through, this is the prerequisite. Purpose is the prerequisite. So let's get through purpose. So purpose plus power equals your life's possibility. One of the reasons many of us will never reach our life's full potential is because, one, we don't know our purpose. Or two, if you know your purpose, right? You might be out there, you're like, well, Linal, I know my purpose. I understand my purpose on the planet. But you haven't tapped into your power. See, in order to tap into your power, you have to be able to take action on your purpose. Just knowing your purpose, well, okay, you know it. You know, you have an identity, but now are you acting on that? Because in acting on that, that's when you begin to activate something. You begin to activate your power. So purpose plus power actually allows you to reach your life's possibility. Let me take myself. So I never graduated college with my bachelor's degree. Okay? Yet, even without a bachelor's degree, I went from an entry-level position in corporate America as a black man all the way to the executive ranks of vice president and officer of a $4.5 billion company. Now, how does that happen if what I'm telling you isn't true? How did that happen for me? I made decisions, talked about it last week, aligned with my purpose. And as I made decisions aligned with my purpose, I took actions that scared me, that made me afraid. But nonetheless, I took actions on my purpose, and by taking actions on my purpose, I began to step into my power. The purpose plus my power began to bring into my life possibility that I would have never imagined can be there. And that possibility created things like being at the upper echelon in corporate America, becoming a profitable entrepreneur, achieving financial freedom, having my own radio show. These are things I talked about last week. I had a speech problem. That wasn't possible when I was in my early 20s to even think that I could speak well enough to be on the radio. So the things I'm sharing with you all tonight, these aren't things that I'm like, oh, I think it works. I know it works. I know it works because it's worked in my life. I know it works because how I found out about it was from mentorship, reading hundreds, probably thousands of books, okay? And putting what I learned from mentors, what I learned from reading into action and actually living it out and saying, wow, hey, I'm on to something here. And because my purpose is to help myself and others live the best life possible, now I'm giving it to you. So I got a call. I'm going to take the call in a second, but let me finish this piece. So purpose plus power equals possibility, and possibility plus purposeful action. You guys heard me talk about action. Possibility plus purposeful action equals greatness, or what you can call mastery. Okay? Now, let me give you an analogy. Let me give you an analogy on how this all works. Because for somebody, they might be like, man, I'm having a hard time, Linal. I've even written it down. But help me make this make sense. Okay. Let's say the purpose is a seed. It's a little tree seed. Okay. Now, in order for a seed to grow, you have to have water. Okay. Well, your water is your power. I mean, think about water. Water in itself, the very identity of water, even in a raindrop, is powerful. It provides life. It can hydrate. Multi-use. Okay? So you add purpose to the water, and all of a sudden you have a new possibility, right? That's a shrub. Little shrub grows. Now, if you study agriculture and you study a plant life, one of the things you find out is that a shrub that has no resistance is weak. And so in order for a shrub or for a tree to actually strengthen itself and become great, it needs some type of wind. It needs wind and resistance to push it back and forth. The wind and resistance is nothing more than a purposeful action, because purposeful action, every time you look to take purposeful action, there will be resistance. There will be resistance. There will be resistance all around you. This is how you know you're working on the right thing. Purposeful action creates, in its very nature, resistance. One of the things I would tell people in the workshop, I would say, if you want to be successful, you gotta change your relationship to resistance. Right now, with me working on these online courses, I'm encountering resistance, I would say, from almost every front. It's part of how I know I'm almost there. I know that I'm right there on the precipice of the breakthrough of pushing this thing through, because there's resistance everywhere. It feels impossible to get something done. Resistance. Purposeful action is always met with resistance. You declare an action tonight and say, hey, as of now, this is what I'm going to do. Know this, it's not going to be easy. See, this is part of our problem, because we live in this society where everything is instant. Instant gratification. Microwave the food. Order the food. How fast can I get there? And when it comes to your life's possibility, when it comes to your ability to access your own personal greatness, that's not an overnight process. As a matter of fact, you're going to encounter a tremendous amount of resistance. Any purposeful action, there's resistance. And so the shrub that was blowing in the wind, the reason why it gets the bark that makes it a tree that cannot be blown anymore is because over time, that little green leaflet, that little green stem that's so weak, begins to bruise. It begins to scar. And that scar turns into bark. And over time, that bark thickens. And as it thickens, the strongest winds can blow. And that tree will not move. I'll tell you right now, those hurricanes that came through Florida, that went through Texas, that went through Puerto Rico, it knocked some stuff down. It knocked some trees down. But I can guarantee you, there's some trees that didn't move. Why? Because they are great. Because they took on purposeful action and resistance before that strengthened them, that deepened their roots to the extent that no wind can blow it down. That's greatness. That's what we want to create in our lives. That's what we have the possibility and the potential to create when we live a life of purpose that's aligned with power because we're taking action on our purpose, and we're moving towards our life's possibility with purposeful action. We're pushing into the resistance despite how we feel, despite how tough it may be, despite whether we're exhausted or not, because we know that our identity is linked to getting to the other side. That's greatness. And with that comes mastery. All right, so let me pause here and take a call. I got this is Dr. Baskins. How are you?
Good afternoon, good evening, sir.
How are you?
Delightfully magnificent.
Awesome. Good to hear.
I congratulate you all on introducing us to our true identity. The mass hypnosis that has been thrust upon the world does not need perpetuate itself. You mentioned a workshop. I'd like to know when and where and get acquainted with you. Me and my friend, we do character development seminars.
Okay.
And maybe we might be of assistance to each other. I'm inspired. My dedication is to awaken people to their true identity.
Awesome. Well, one of the ways you can get in touch with me is all you have to do is if you download my book, Slay Your Goals, you'll be on my email.
What's the name of the book?
Slay Your Goals. It's at slayyourgoals.com.
SLAY?
SLAY. That's correct.
Slay Your Goals.
Slayyourgoals.com. If you go there and download the book, you'll be on my mailing list. And when the online courses drop, or if I happen to do a live workshop here in Chicago or anywhere else, I'll send a note out to everyone on that list, and you'll be notified. In terms of connecting and working together, though, I'll tell you what. Why don't I put you on hold, and you can chat with Isaac, my producer, and he can take your information, and I'll reach out to you.
Okay. In the meantime, I would encourage you to check out my first book, Uncover the Missing PEACE. Uncover the Missing Piece.
I like that. Okay. Definitely. So Isaac, I'll put you on hold, and Isaac, he's going to grab your information.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks for the phone call. All right. Good call. Okay. So real quick, purpose is the seed. Power is the water. And the seed has no potential without the water. All right. So again, if you know your purpose, but you're not taking action and actually stepping into your power, no potential. Okay. And get this. You might be a powerful person. You might be in touch with your power. But if you don't have a purpose, consider that your water, your power, has no direction, has no flow, has no channel, has no purpose without the seed. Without purpose, doesn't matter how powerful you are, you're not going anywhere. Now, it's difficult to talk about a seed without talking about the thing that can keep the seed from germinating, keep the seed from actually growing and representing that possibility I talked about as a shrub. And one of the things that does that is fear. Fear will poison your seed. Fear will take the very life out of your seed. Okay? Now, why is this important? Because so many people have identified their purpose. I mean, in 2016, I've helped over hundreds of people identify their purpose. And of those people, I would say a fraction are moving forward powerfully. Why? Because others get stopped by fear. Remember, I told you, you got to take purposeful action. Purposeful action means you have to push up against resistance. Part of that resistance is fear. Now, fear is nothing but a mental story. I mean, if you really want to break down what fear is nothing but some type of story that you've made or called true based on your past experiences, past situations, past life that you're trying to project into your future. And what happens is, this is why some of us create the same thing over and over. Because we take the past experience, we make it so true, and we try to project it on the next person or the next situation, and we actually recreate that thing. Fear. Fear is a poison to purpose. I told you, I would not be where I am today if I let fear stop me. If I didn't publish my first blog post because I was afraid. If I didn't get on the radio show, start my first radio show because I was afraid. If I didn't leave corporate America because I was afraid. Fear is one of the biggest handicaps of healthy, powerful people. We stop because we're afraid. Now, fear is one of the poisons, but let's pick out a few other things, because we know that if you plant a seed in a garden and you water that seed, right? Purpose, power. And you start to get the possibility, what else can take it out? Weeds. Weeds can choke it out. What are weeds? Weeds are your distractions. Weeds are the ways that you sabotage yourself. So tonight I'm going to leave you with a few activities. Something to take on as we go into next week. Because I don't care who you are, you have distractions. I got my distractions written down. You have distractions. What are your top distractions? What are the things that are getting in the way of you living a purposeful life? Of you living a life that actually allows you to move forward powerfully and take action? What is the thing that gets in the way every time you intend to take action? Every time you're ready to take action, this happens, that happens, and you can call it out. You almost know it's going to show up. Consider that your weed. Consider that your distraction. See, here's the thing. Part of the problem is once we get on the path, right? Now, if you don't know your purpose, that's number one. But if you do know your purpose, and you've actually experienced walking into your power, you've actually had powerful moments in your life. You've actually had moments where you conquer fear, but you're not making progress as quickly as you wish you would. You're not making progress the way you intend to make progress. It's real easy to start pointing it at other people. Oh, the reason I'm not making progress is because of my wife. Or the reason I'm not making progress is because I'm a mom and I got children. The reason I'm not... Now, what are your distractions? What's really getting in your way? How much time are you spending on social media? They say the average American watches 4 to 5 hours of television a day. How many movies one of the things I realize about television and movies, and I can't even remember. Like, if I watched a movie 4 or 5 years ago, I can't even remember the movie. There's so much stuff coming out to entertain us, and you can't even retain it. It really is being in that moment and almost literally losing the moment. So, social media, television, movies. For some of us, our biggest distraction is dreaming. We sit up and ideate and create all types of possibilities and never take action on any. Maybe that's just a distraction. Maybe it's time to choose one and stick with it and go see it all the way through. Or does that scare you? For some of us, the distraction is, hey, this is one of mine, cleaning up. Oh man, let me have some stuff that I know I need to do. Boy, my office will be clean. The house will be clean. Now I'm better at it now. I'm better at it now because I identified it. But years ago, oh man. Or busy work. You're busy, but you're not making progress. One of my favorite quotes, David Gergen. He said, Are you busy? I mean, because even a rocking chair is in motion, but it's not making progress, right? See, sometimes we're running around and we're moving around so fast, we're like, oh, I'm so busy. And that makes us feel good, but you're not really getting anything done. What have you accomplished? You're tired, but what for? Like what tangible work aligned with your purpose, aligned with what it is that you want to create, have you actually moved forward? So what's your distraction? Make a list. Write them all out. Get clarity on it. What are you afraid of? See, here's the thing about fear. You know, people are always looking for a pill that's going to get them over fear, the quick fix. Fear is fear. It's going to be there. Your best bet is to actually get clear on what you're afraid of, real clear, and then stare it down and start walking in that direction. That's it. So, if you're ready to take this journey, stick with me. If you haven't read the book, check it out, slayyourgoals.com. You can go to murdermediocrity.com, join the list. But shortly, I'm going to be taking you on that journey. This is just the beginning. Purpose, power, possibility. What's your identity? What's your purpose? Who are you? Why are you alive? Why are you alive? What's your ripple effect? See, here's the big piece. Who you are, it matters. It makes a difference. And the reason it makes a difference is because the simple fact that you are here, the simple fact that you're making movement, the simple fact that you're listening right now, the simple fact that you may be watching on Facebook or you may be watching on Periscope, there's a ripple effect because of that. If you share this feed, there's a ripple effect. Somebody may watch it and say, man, I need to change my life. There's a ripple effect. If you talk about it, there's a ripple effect. Who you're being, how you show up, there's a ripple effect. Your attitude, there's a ripple effect. The work you do, there's a ripple effect. If you never leave that job, there's a ripple effect. And see, the thing is, we think that we're only responsible for our own lives, only responsible for the lives of our family. Consider that if you don't walk in your purpose, there's a ripple effect. Not only does it have an effect on you, it has an effect on everybody that you love. It has an effect on your spouse, effect on your children, effect on your siblings. There's a ripple effect. And that's why this conversation is so important. That's why we can't turn away from it. It's one of the reasons why you just got to stay in it and figure out and distinguish your purpose, identify your identity, and start walking in your power. Because to not take it on has a ripple effect. But what if you do? There's a ripple effect to that too. To live a purposeful life, there's a ripple effect. To live a life that's connected to your power, there's a ripple effect. To live a life where you're hitting your life's possibility, you're actually knocking the ball, hitting the home run of your potential out the park, there's a ripple effect. My voice has a ripple effect on you. What's your ripple effect? Who will you be? Why are you alive? Who are you really? What's your purpose? I'm Linal Harris, Chicago's very own life coach. I know my ripple effect. What's yours? Thanks for joining. Until next week, have a phenomenal weekend and a safe evening. God bless you. All right, that's the show. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it touched you. By all means, if it made a difference for you, please share it. Share the stream. Share the opportunity for purpose, power, and possibility with somebody else. And I'll catch you guys next time. Love you. Take care.